Hello, Renee, can you hear me?
Hello, there we go. Okay, it's 7 o'clock in Gardner, Kansas. We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good evening, everyone. We have had some requests for the council member or anyone else speaking, if we can please speak into the mic so they can hear well, all the way in the back. And we do have Councilman Shute joining us by phone. Is that
Good evening.
correct? Zoom? Oh, he's zooming. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. All right. So we will start. We have two presentations today, and I will come forward for those. Okay. This first one is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas October 2025 is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness about the disease. And whereas breast cancer remains one of the most common cancers affecting women worldwide, with over 2 million new cases diagnosed each year and countless families impacted by its emotional and physical toll. And whereas advances in early detection, treatment, and research have led to a significant decline in mortality rates, yet continued awareness, education, and support are essential to further reduce the burden of this disease. And whereas we encourage all residents to participate in educational events, screenings, fundraising initiatives, and community programs to promote breast health and support ongoing research. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Todd Winters, Mayor of the City of Garner, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Gardner and urge all families to increase their knowledge about breast cancer and join the fight to eradicate this disease. second is a presentation for our Parks and Rec Department. The Oregon California Trail Association Distinguished Service Award. On Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, the Gardner Parks and Recreation Department was honored with the Distinguished Service Award at the annual Oregon California Trails Association Conference held in Pueblo, Colorado. Director Jason Bruce and Superintendent Tim Rogers were in attendance to receive the award on behalf of the city. The Distinguished Service Award is presented to organizations, businesses, government agencies, individuals, and other entities who have made outstanding contributions towards furthering the mission of OCTA, specifically in areas of trail preservation, protection, and public education. Recipients are recognized either for direct involvement in OCTA programs or for significant independent support that aligns with the organization's goals. The Gardner Parks and Recreation Department was recognized for their revitalization and ongoing maintenance of Junction Park, a historically significant site along the trail. Through their dedicated efforts, Junction Park has been transformed into a vibrant, accessible, and educational public space that honors the legacy of the Santa Fe, Oregon, and California trails. Their continued stewardship of the park ensures that this important piece of history remains preserved and appreciated for generations to come. This award serves as a testament to the department's commitment to community enrichment, historical preservation, and collaborative stewardship of public lands. And I was out there for the ribbon cutting as well as, where'd she go? There you are. Councilwoman Deaton was out there as well. It was a really nice presentation, and they did a great job on that. Thanks, man. Okay. We're going to move to public comments, and as before, if you are here to speak about new business item number or committee recommendation number 1 or number 2, I will give you an opportunity again to speak during that time. So if you want to hold off specifically for that, if you have other issues, though, members of the public are welcome to use this time to make comments about city matters or items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing. If you wish to come forward, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. There's a 5-minute time clock on your left. That being said, come forward, state your name and address for the record, and the podium is now open.
Hi, I'm Stan Watches at 16100 Gardner East Road. It's on the creek that becomes the lake, Gardner Lake. I received a letter from Vibratech, which is a consulting firm, I assume. I have copies if anyone needs one.
If you want to
Vibratech.
give it to our city clerk.
Copy. The gist of the letter is that APAC, which I assume is the quarry company just north of town, APAC is going to start blasting at the quarry just south of my house there. And that we can get a baseline. Vibratech will give us a baseline inspection of our property in anticipation that there could be a change in the condition of it. My wife and I have spent 7.5 years and many thousands of dollars adding onto and remodeling our home recently. We do not want the condition of our property to change. I received some information via text from one of the Gardner Lake Association representatives. The gist of what they said was that the blasting is periodical. I recall it in 2015 when it last occurred, and it shook our whole house. It was vibrating and shaking to the whole house. When Gary Flum moved in on 162nd Terrace, I assumed he had some kind of unusual influence because the blasting stopped, and it's been discontinued ever since then, which was about 2015. And so, I thought somehow it had been banned and we were in the clear. But then I received this letter on Saturday saying that the blasting was about to begin again. Again, we like the condition of our property the way it is. The Gardner Lake Association representative quoted some research that homes in a quarry area can have 30% lower values. I'm just asking the council to please keep us in mind, keep the blasting ban in place, and keep our property in the condition that it's currently in. Any questions, anything?
No, but we'll probably discuss this at the end when we do our council updates. We'll bring this back up.
You'll bring it back up at the end? Okay.
Okay, actually, he can give you a really
The
quick-
quarry's not in the city, it's not permitted by the city, it's permitted by the county. We have nothing to do with the quarry.
It's not in the city limits?
It is not.
Hmm.
It's in the county,
It's a county issue.
and the county permitted, yes.
Mhm.
And just FYI, the blasting, there wasn't a ban, they just stopped voluntarily. They're,
Because they do it periodically. Right. Well, do we need to take it up with the county then? Okay. Do you have any names?
Is it,
Well, I would suggest too, you could go to Brad Ralston's office at the Fire District #1 because they handle the blasting permits. But probably with Johnson County Planning, you'd want to get hold of Jay or Sean over there, the director or the deputy director over at Johnson County Planning.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frank Bannister, 19815 South Gardner Road, basically at the intersection of 199th and Gardner Road. So I see all the trucks that go down Gardner Road, and I see all the trucks that go east and west on the 199th. And I just would like to get in the minutes and ask the city, I know this is a multi-jurisdictional area, meaning it's Johnson County and the city of Gardner. I think City of Gardner has a lot of responsibility for the east and west sections of 199th, and I think the county then has the south responsibility on Gardner Road. But I don't know if anybody really is seriously pursuing trying to do a better job of policing the trucks. I have observed more than once a City of Gardner police car and a Johnson County Sheriff's car following a semi-truck going south on Gardner Road, and they come to 199th, and the truck goes on south, which is a clear violation, and the cop car goes to the east or to the west without stopping the truck, without lights on. So I'm sure there are other priorities than these trucks, but it seems like the traffic has increased, and that's due to there's basically no enforcement going on. We have the signs up, the trucks are ignoring them. So I would kindly ask Mayor Winters if you would be responsible for initiating, or the appropriate person on the council initiating conversation with Johnson County to see if what can be done to better enforce the no truck routes that are clearly posted. And so those trucks come down Gardner Road, and several of them do not even stop at 199th. And there have been several wrecks there at that intersection. You all may know that. But I think it's a problem, so I'm asking the city to try to do something to address that. And so I'd appreciate it very much. I know the residents out there would too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bannister.
Do you want us to wait or just?
If it's regarding 199th, we can hold off just a little bit till we get to the, yeah, if that's all right. It'll be pretty quick.
Could I say something about the trucks?
Sure. Go ahead and state your name and address if you would, please.
Okay. My name is Fred Fraley. I live at 18715 Moonlight. About the trucks, I have a farm there. We have trucks in and out all the time, and to me, it's to say no trucks is a little bit beyond absurd. That's just my view. I mean, I've traveled all over the country. I'm sure you guys have been places. Have you ever been someplace where you see no trucks, no trucks, no trucks? I mean, there's no way out of this maze of no trucks. I would think it's over-enforced, if anything, and I think the signs were put up there not for trucks, but for the intermodal. Am I correct or incorrect on the truck situation?
Go ahead.
Semi-trucks.
Semi-trucks. I have trucks that I use that road. So I think in your enforcement, you need to be very considerate that you have construction trucks, you have farm trucks, you have a lot of different trucks there. Without trucks, you have no growth. To sit here and say no trucks, this to me is absurd. I mean, you have to have trucks. Trucks are the lifeblood of what happens anywhere. So I think this is total overkill. So that's just my opinion of it right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brand.
I have two things to address. Linda Meisinger, 25800 West 199th Street. One I will address right now in reference to what was just said, and the other I will wait until 199th Street is brought up. All of us know that agricultural trucks are allowed to go up and down the road. It's only the semi-trailer trucks that go in and out of the intermodal that are not supposed to go up and down the road. Unless I'm wrong. Is that wrong? That's what I thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
And it's true.
Thank you. Thank you.
We all know it's intermodal trucks.
Signs clearly state the GVW, and that could be a pickup truck with a trailer. The GVW signs. I think that needs to be.
Yeah, we'll get to those. Okay. Any other? Okay. So let's move to consent agenda. Is there an item on the consent agenda council would like to remove?
Yes, I would like to remove items 4 and 5.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for items 1 through 3 and 6 through 10?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNear, second Deedon. We approve consent agenda items 1 through 3 and 6 through 10. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Sorry. Those consent agenda items pass. Consent agenda item number 4, railroad crossing elimination grant cost share. Councilman Shute?
Yeah, I was just bringing that up because I think that we had been down that road a couple of times. I just wanted to get some more detail. Is this more of a, I don't want it to be good money going after bad. If there's a, to me, I've always known or always assumed that there was nothing to do about mitigating that crossing at Moonlight and Maine. So I just wanted to get some idea here as to whether or not this is going to actually change the dynamic at all. Is there any chance that it's going to change the dynamic? Because it doesn't seem to me like that's going to be the case. But could you enlighten me on this, City Administrator?
Yeah, that's what they're looking at, is the feasibility of finding out if it's even possible before we even get into design and construction. I mean, that's what the grant's for.
Yeah, but I mean, we're actually putting a significant amount of money into that project. So my thinking is if there, to me, I don't see how there could possibly be any way to be feasible with this unless KDOT or unless BNSF is thinking that there might be a way to raise or lower the tracks, or I mean, that would be probably the only way that I can think of that you could actually do that work.
Well, I think they do, or they wouldn't be participating in the grant.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah,
there is a
they're
chance that
participating
this
too.
could be a non-grade crossing. Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Are you good with consent item 5 as well?
Yeah, that's kind of going along with it because the grant agreement and the cost share is they're kind of tied at the hip, which is why I removed both those items.
Okay. Is there a motion then to approve those two?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNear, second Deaton. We approve consent agenda items 4 and 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 4 and 5 pass. Would you like to remove planning and zoning consent agenda item? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Shoot, second Baldwin. We approve planning and zoning consent. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Planning and zoning passes. We'll move on to committee recommendations. Number 1, consider potential changes to chapter 10.15 truck routes of the Gardner Municipal Code. Dave Nock.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the governing body. I'm going to keep my presentation relatively short, given that we have an audience here tonight that wishes to speak on this item.
Pardon me. I mean, would it be better to do these kind of like simultaneously?
We
Have
can.
comments?
I was just going to say they're interrelated to a certain extent. They're also, I tried to organize these so that you could carry on the conversation in order. Certainly, we can go ahead and pursue it as they're simultaneously. I don't have a problem.
I think that
with
might just because I know we'll have comments and we can kind of get some of the comments out at the same time.
Okay, that's fine, I think. Ryan, you're good with that? Okay. I'll just start out. The first recommendation item from the Planning Commission is interrelated to the 199th Street element, but it also has bigger ramifications to other parts of the community as well. The 199th Street proposed development kind of brought these things to light as far as what's actually worded in Title 10, what the ordinances had passed, and what's actually happening, I think, with the signage as well as with some of the enforcement out there. So what was provided to you in your CAF inside the council action form was kind of a timeline of things. That's provided to you so you have an understanding. When staff looks at planning elements, we'll look at the comprehensive plan, but we also look at policy directions that have been given through past decisions by the council or by the governing body. So what we tried to do here was at least organize the timeline so that you could see when the comprehensive plan or the portion of the sub-area plan in this area was passed. But then since then, some of the other critical elements that were at play as staff went through the process of evaluating this proposal. I'm not going to spend the time on each of those things, but certainly if you have questions about them, let me know. As part of the consideration, you'll remember in September 2nd, you remanded back the rezoning and the preliminary development plan application to the Planning Commission. It was heard again on September 22nd by the Planning Commission. So they took your remand with the direction that was part of your motion from the 2nd of September, considered that, and as part of their return of that original recommendation, I want to be careful here as I word this, they did return their original recommendation of denial for the rezoning and for the preliminary development plan at the same time, but they also provided advisement on some other issues as part of that because they wanted to make sure that at least they addressed your concerns about the truck traffic and the land use as those items as you were searching for a way to maybe reduce the truck traffic that might be produced by that proposal. So that's kind of why you've got these three items. This first item was one of those advisory statements that basically this ordinance or the ordinance that supplies Title 10, Section 15 or Chapter 1015 of the Municipal Code, if you looked at the wording that was in there, the way it is worded currently, it prohibits all non-passenger vehicle traffic in those areas. So to a certain extent, what the code requires is beyond the semi-truck concern. It goes to a level of all commercial vehicles and traffic. It is also residing outside of Title 17, which is the Land Development Code. So it is outside the purview of the Planning Commission to really look at that code or adjust that code. That's really a legislative function on your end when we're looking at it. So there's a little bit of a strange differentiation, because if it was in the Land Development Code, certainly at that point, the Planning Commission could weigh in on some of those concerns from the standpoint of maybe changes or differences in direction. So anyway, the staff with the Planning Commission wanted to forward this to you for discussion tonight. At this point for this item, it's not that you have to come up with ordinance language tonight, but I think what the Planning Commission is primarily suggesting, and staff is also suggesting here, is to have some type of consensus as to what you would like to do to possibly adjust that title or that chapter of the municipal code, but also potentially address 199th Street in that process. You have a number of options there to consider. You could want some adjustments to the code language that applies geographically to different areas other than just the truck routes. For instance, the county, the other thing you could do is look at weight limits, so you could differentiate different types of commercial vehicles. The county, for instance, does do that. They have a differentiation at 16,000 pounds of gross vehicle weight. So there are options there, but staff right now does not have specific ordinance language to bring before you. It was felt more that it was a discussion that needed to be had at the governing body level to give us direction on that. Certainly tonight with this item, you could elect to just not take any action on it after you discuss it. You could certainly direct us into direction as to whether you want to do any changes specifically to that, and we'd be open to doing that for you as staff. So that's kind of the summary of item number one. Item number two then is the specific element of this that has to do with the rezoning and the preliminary development plan. As I said, after the discussion of the Planning Commission, they voted 7-0 to bring back to you their recommendation of denial of the application, but it again gave advisement as to ways that maybe you could mitigate some of the traffic concerns and land use concerns. What I'll direct you to under item 2 is the draft ordinance number 2848. In that draft ordinance, if you chose to approve the rezoning and approve the preliminary plan, what you have in that ordinance, starting on the second page of that ordinance, items A through K were items that the Planning Commission felt comfortable moving forward to you as advisement as to things that could be done with the proposal or the development in regard to land use, some of the building uses, some of the other elements that may mitigate the concern about truck traffic. So understand again, that's an advisory element that they placed in there. Items L through N, staff added after the Planning Commission, and those had to do with reviewing the September 2nd meeting that you had and the discussion you had, where there was some concern, or there was, I won't say concern per se, but there were issues raised about the potential of preservation of tree stands, the size of the buildings, and then possibly the phasing of the buildings and the billboards. So when you're looking at those, what I want you to understand is as you have your discussions, the options open to you are a wide array of things, okay, including modifications to this list that is in that draft ordinance, okay? So you could, through your discussions, choose to pull things, choose to modify language, choose to add things, but this was provided by the Planning Commission through the staff at this point. Then for item 3, the reason item 3 is separated is because your remand was really oriented towards the rezoning and the preliminary development plan application, and you didn't take any action on the CUP. So it's separated at that point to create the third item in your list, which is the CUP consideration just for the billboards. And what I want to clarify in that, the proposed ordinance there, let me get the number so I call it right. I think it's 2849, if I remember. So that ordinance there, you have before you with it 5 conditions that were placed in that draft ordinance. Again, similar to the item with the rezoning, you could certainly choose to remove some of those, add to them, But what I want to reiterate with the CUP, the only reason the CUP is required is because the request is for a height level above the 30 feet that's allowed. They're allowed to ask for a variance up to 50 feet, not a variance, I'm sorry about that. The conditional use permit to address the height going from the 30 feet up to 50 feet. And then the other part is the double stack sign. So those are the only two triggers for the CUP, are those two items. With that, I'm gonna stop, and I'm handy for questions, or if you wish to have public comment, we can come back to questions.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, we will, at this point, open it up to public comment. And again, please be respectful. There is still the 5-minute time clock. To your left, if you again state your name and address as you come forward, and I will open this up to who would ever like to come forward.
My name is Mike Kale, live at 30158 West 199th Street, Gardner, Kansas. We agreed to go into the city of Gardner with promises we'll get a 10-year tax abatement and police control to take care of the semis. We got no gas from you guys, no water, no electricity, no sewage. So basically I agreed to come into the city to protect us from all the semis, which we sit out there at night on our beautiful front porch. Thank God, finally a Gardner cop's come out here and sat on the road. So we're sitting there, here goes 2 semis. Well, they're gonna get them. No, the sign says no semis. And I don't know what, if they're asleep, I can't believe they're sleeping. But like the law says, no semis. And you're a police officer sitting there and you just let the semis go by. I don't understand. And as for this young man, 187th Moonlight, how many intermodal semis do you have to deal with every day? On Moonlight and 187th?
Well, I have trucks. It's not really semis, but your signs, what I'm trying to get across, your signs are saying a truck can't be there. My personal truck that I drive is 19,000 GVW.
Okay.
You've got signs that prohibit 16,000.
Right.
So every time I pull on a road, anywhere around there, I'm overweight. So I think the signs, I agree with you. We need to go after the intermodal.
The intermodal,
traffic,
yeah.
Not the growth of the area
Yeah.
or anything else.
If you're hauling grain or whatever, perfect, come on down my road. But if you're an intermodal semi going back and forth every day, we're sitting on our porch.
I agree.
Oh my
I
God,
agree with
here
you.
comes
Those
another
are intermodal. We ought to address
the
traffic.
intermodal traffic,
Because
yes.
it's a very unfriendly sign to anybody that comes into the Gardner area that they see this type of, know this, know that. Hey, wait, I thought I was coming out to a peaceful place.
Yeah, but they come up to 109 at Gardner Road, no U-turns. We got semis all week long, going up there, doing a U-turn, going back the other way. I don't know. I just don't understand. I'm afraid if we open that road up down to Waverly, so now we're opened up again for semis to come in to get in that lot. So it's going to open up traffic coming from Gardner Road, going down 109th that way. I just don't want to open it up to give people, okay, now we can have semis again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Todd Lathrop, 30260 West 199th Street. I've been up here before. I'm kind of going to repeat what I've said before. We were annexed in with the promise of reducing the truck traffic, protecting the city from warehouses being built, further south. The truck traffic, I think, has gone down, but it's still pretty high. And then everything that's being proposed, I guess I'm confused. So somebody's asking to rezone. So to do that, we now have to talk about changing the definition of what is the truck traffic. We gotta look at modifying the rezoning, because what is allowable doesn't give him what he wants. So now we're gonna change the zoning laws. This all seems ludicrous to me that so many things have to be done, all negative to the city, in my opinion. We need to have some rural properties, and this kind of takes all of that away. So I think all we're asking for is you made a commitment. Let's stay with the commitment. Let's not try to jury-rig current rules that are in place to meet a requirement for something that shouldn't be there in the first place. That's all I got. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Mary Friend. I live at 19880 South Gardner Road, on the corner of Gardner Road and 199th. In 2019, the mayor was Todd Winters, Mark Baldwin, and Steve Schutte were council members. Gardner approached us to come into the city limits. We were very much aware, one council member acted like we didn't know this, that Edgerton, North Point, and the LLC was grabbing up land east and south, as well as the intermodal to the west of us. We're all aware of that. Gardner was very much aware that if they annexed us, we would be saving the southern border of Gardner. Edgerton had already annexed up to Waverly Road on 183rd. They were also working on annexing 600 acres of 199th to 214th between Gardner Road and Moonlight. We were told that the city would protect us from Edgerton, North Point, LLC, warehouses, and trucks. It's not just trucks. It was the whole thing. We didn't want Edgerton to take us. We didn't want the warehouses, and certainly didn't want the truck traffic. That is why we accepted to come into the city limits of Gardner. We already have, right now, on 199th, box trucks running up and down. Then on Gardner Road, from I-35 to 199th, it's only 2 lanes and no shoulder. We do not need more traffic put on that road. We have a school. We have an institute where all the buses run out every morning and come back. And we have a new subdivision. We do not have room or space for more traffic. Also, 10 to 20 some people came into the city limits of Gardner with the understanding that you would protect us. Edgerton can't get us, the intermodal, the LLCs, and the truck traffic. I want to very much appreciate and thank the planning for how much detail and work they did, and the fact that they've turned this down 2 times. They need to vote no to the project. I very much again appreciate all the work and the detail that you do, and please do not let this happen. Say no. Thank you.
My name's Lynn Baker, and I'm the owner of the property out there. I understand the truck traffic issues, and I'm thinking that the reason that there's no truck traffic in the city codes because they didn't want the intermodal traffic, which would be a lot of semis probably. I think one way to fix that would be to put a sign that says no truck traffic over on Homestead, so that people from the intermodal understand that there's not supposed to be any trucks on that road. And of course now they get to the city limits and it says no truck traffic. There's no place for them to turn around. They turn around on our property. There's still trucks there. I guess I really don't understand why there's no truck traffic on a road that was designed for heavy haul in the first place. You got an 80,000 pound bridge there. You've got right away that the state bought from us to widen the road and make that a heavy haul corridor. You gotta remember the old 21st Century Parkway issue that was talked about for an east-west corridor south of I-435. I'm understanding that there's a possibility that there may be a 4-lane coming through there from Edgerton Road off 10 Highway all the way, maybe clear to 49 Highway over Missouri. Be a beltway, just like 435. Don't know that, but I understand that's being talked about now. So, you know, certainly there'd be a lot of truck traffic if that came to pass. But back to the issue at hand, what we're asking for is some regional commercial that'll benefit the area, benefit the city. We're not going to create a bunch of truck traffic. It's not warehousing per se. I developed Country Meadows Industrial Park over there. I've got 13 businesses in there, and it's zoned M1, most of it. And I invite anybody that's anti-truck traffic to go over there and sit for a day and take a look and see how many trucks go in and out of there. I'd venture to say if you stopped the intermodal truck traffic by putting signage up, we would not create any more truck traffic than what's already going through there. I mean, you know, we've been roadblocked with this thing ever since 2016 when we agreed to have it annexed if we got commercial over there. And that's when the city council and the mayor voted to give us regional commercial. So I don't know why you're letting a handful of people dictate what you guys do for this city. I mean, remember the racetrack, remember the intermodal, and look where it got you all. I mean, I don't think it's fair to let a handful of people dictate what you guys do and how you develop the city, and considering the tax base and everything else that you need here. I think this is a good project. We would not be a bad neighbor. That's my position on it. So hopefully you guys will all and gals consider that when you make your decision later today. Any questions with me?
No.
No?
We may have questions that we might bring up.
Okay.
You know,
Thank you.
after.
My name's Sherry Kale. I live at 30158 West 199th Street. I'm part of those people that live in that area. The people that he's talking about, I'm one of them. I've been out there for 40 years. Our families, everybody's, right now I'm just, okay, stop. Anyway, we are part of that. If you want to come down our street, you can see us sitting on our front porch. This is our home. We chose to come into the city of Gardner for all the reasons that they said they would protect us. This is part of that. We are not going to be the price of progress. At some point, somebody has to say, it is these people that make our community who they are. That's who you fight for. Thank you.
I'm another one of those people. I happen to be his neighbor, but he doesn't live here. He actually lives in Spring Hill. I do live here, and a few of you got an email from me, I think.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
If you could state your name and address,
Oh.
and if you wouldn't mind leading into the microphone.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Melissa Lathrop, 30260 West 199th Street. Like I said, I live right next door to this property that they've been talking about. I sent a few of the council members an email on Friday stating, wasn't sure if I could talk, so I got nervous on Friday. So I sent an email kind of just saying how I felt and making sure y'all knew where I felt and how I stood. And I did a little research, and it looks like in the comprehensive plan that I pulled off the Gardner website, it says that I highlighted it, and I'm looking at Todd because I sent it to him. Sorry. It is not intended to, the comprehensive plan provides a general framework, themes, policies, and goals throughout the plan. It is not intended to predetermine specific land uses or zoning for individual parcels. That's an individual parcel. And it goes down to agricultural and rural residential. These are residential districts to promote open space and rural preservation. That's what we want. That's all we want. We want to stay in Gardner. We want to be good citizens. And we're asking, just like the Planning Commission's done twice, please vote no. I mean, it looks really simple. I don't know what else to do and ask you guys. We've been here for 8.5 years. We put a lot of money into our house. I mean, he's asked me to buy his property. He doesn't want it. He goes, I'm old, buy it from me. That scares me. What is he gonna do if you guys rezone it? It scares the living tar out of me. So, thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Gary Lee, 30875 West 199th Street. I live across the street from the proposed development. And I again would just ask that we strongly consider staying with the Planning Commission and staff recommendations of not approving. I am not a City of Gardner resident. I'm right across the street. I'm a rural county resident. I don't belong to the city, Gardner or Edgerton, either one. I'm afraid what's going to happen if this changes, and I can see Edgerton trying to come down and annex me so they can get in a nice battle with you of some commercial across the street. I just soon not see that. I just soon not have to look at my front door at the new commercial development when I, just like everybody else, moved out there to be in the rural area. And we appreciate your consideration of keeping it as rural status. So thank you for your time.
Hey guys. Jason Carmen, 29852 West 199th Street. I live just a few hundred yards away from the proposed plan here. It's interesting to me here. So I was in here about a year ago. You guys probably remember talking about a small family-run pet lodge that I wanted to put in place. It was unanimously decided this is not the place for commercial activity. You guys said it, right? This region is not for commercial activity. And I know it's been brought up in some of the previous meetings here, and it was kind of disregarded in saying, hey, this proposal is different. And the way that I see that this proposal is different is that my proposal actually had support from the city staff for it. This one doesn't. My proposal had support from several of the neighboring properties. This one does not. My proposal was a tiny fraction of the size of what's being proposed here, and it was deemed too large for the area. My proposal had zero impact to traffic flow. It did not create any safety concerns. It did not violate any city agreements that were previously made with the citizens. This proposal negatively affects all of these items. I think it's already been mentioned here that many of us residents on 199th Street, myself included, voluntarily annexed into Gardner a few years ago when the city approached us asking for the ability to assist in countering Edgerton's warehousing efforts. Our annexations gave the city jurisdiction of 199th Street, and you were trusted to use this power to restrict truck traffic on our road. Restricting this traffic is currently our sole defense against Gardner being surrounded on the south side against warehouse construction. You guys are now talking about giving that up. It is disheartening to hear that you are already considering changing this, violating the good faith agreements that you made with your citizens, and sacrificing the south border of Gardner to Edgerton just to accommodate this current proposal. If this proposal is passed, I hope that all of our annexation agreements will also be null and void because it's in clear breach of the agreement we made. Thank you.
Frank Bannister, 19815 South Gardner Road. I wanted to ask a question to Mayor Winters or the appropriate person. When you all have been considering this proposal, if I did a records request for the discussion and the outcome that the discussion had with regard to the golden criterion, and does this proposal, or how does the golden criterion fit the proposal and vice versa? Would I be able to get that? And so the question would be, have you all done a thorough or completed a thorough evaluation of the proposal in comparisons to the golden criterion?
We don't usually do it back and forth, sorry.
Pardon me?
We can talk about it after, but we don't usually do it back and forth with the council.
Okay. If you have not, you should. It's not a statutorily required evaluation, but it's a highly recommended evaluation, and one in which most rezoning and planning commissions use as a guideline. So if you haven't done a thorough and complete evaluation and compare the request to the golden criterion, you really should do that, and that would help take out the subjectivity of your conclusion. I'm very familiar with them for other reasons, and I can't see hardly any of those 8 criterion that if you went down through them and evaluated them, that you would evaluate, you would answer anything other than, no, this is not a good fit. I am sympathetic to the gentleman and his proposal. I'm not against commercial development, but I think this is the wrong place. This is a residential area. There would be people that live right next to commercial development and look right across the street and see commercial operations. And that is not the reason people live where we do out in these residential areas. This is a residential area. It should stay that way, so I'm asking you to return a no vote. Thank you.
Good evening. Audrey Sparks, 30056 West 199th Street. We've been here several nights this summer, speaking of this same subject. Again, you've got one gentleman that's not even from our town asking you to rezone CP3 in a residential rural community that you promised that you would keep truck traffic off of. I ask that you uphold that promise. Thank you.
I do have an email I'd like to read that was emailed to me. I'm sorry, go ahead. I want to get this in. This is from Jennifer Williams. And she says, I am not sure if they will allow us to have public comment tonight, and unfortunately I just learned about this, so I was never able to participate in the prior meetings. Please honor the residential growth plan that was secured by the City Council, including many of you, with the annexation agreements with the residents that helped you secure your southern border from the encroachment of Edgerton. When faced with the decision to annex and help you, many family members fought with other family members when one said you could be trusted, while the others, what appears now to be wisely, said that you could not be trusted. It is appalling to me that anyone sitting on the council right now is saying that they did not make the agreements, so they don't have to keep the agreements. That is a true sign of a person's character if they cannot honor something as intimate and personal as these agreements are to the residents. In exchange for signing over their freedom of unincorporated, they were promised no heavy commercial and no trucks in the area. You all know how hard we have fought for the last 5 years, and even when your attorney would not allow you to join the narrow Corridor case with us, we pressed on. The Attorney General's office took the case, fought the case against a political activist judge who has been overturned in appeals multiple times, and they are now appealing the case, even though Mr. Baldwin falsely claimed in September meeting that they were probably not appealing, after they had already given a statement to the Johnson County Post in August that they were appealing. It saddens me to hear how many varying forms of excuses some council members are giving to justify breaking their word, ignoring the Planning Commission's recommendations, and harming the neighborhood. There are so many places within your city that are easily accessible for this kind of development. This is not one of them. 2 of these small acreage parcels have already had a house on them, a zoning that fits with the golden criteria of the neighborhood of surrounding properties that are also residential. Your police and county sheriff have enough trouble distinguishing which trucks belong here and which don't. Why would you add any confusion and problems to that? Why would you open the door to Edgerton blocking trucks on your western border and forcing them to have to come down Gardner Road? We've all fought together so long to get the sign on the bridge, to get the signage on the highway, and to stop these trucks from cutting through. You're only going to compound a problem that you already won, and now you're going to deal a new hand to the Mid-America Regional Council, the trucking associations, and the Johnson County Board of Commissioners, who are trying to force this to be a truck route, despite the fact Gardner has the authority to and has already stopped it. The fact that you would hand these people the commercial zoning when they paid residential prices, favoring of a few at the expense of many, exactly like Edgerton did to us when they with their favorite developer. You are no better than them. Too many council members who don't live out here have allowed themselves to be wooed and convinced that this decision doesn't matter. Shame on you who are considering this, and thank you sincerely to those who are voting no and recognize the importance to God and these people of an oath and vows being kept and honored. Sincerely, Jennifer Williams. Anyone else like to come forward? Okay. Ms. Messinger.
Linda Meisinger, 25800 West 199th Street. I have 2 comments to make. Number 1, when I was going down Gardner Road, when I was going down 199th Street, I saw something going across the road down by the bridge. Couldn't figure out what it was. That was the direction I was headed. I went down, and as I was getting there, I saw a semi-trailer truck turning around on this side of the bridge, which is completely blocks the view from the other side. I sat there and watched, and it took him a while because the sign that says no trucks are supposed to be on that road is at Waverly Road, if I remember right. I don't understand why we as a city can't put a sign that says before truckers come up the road that they can't use this road and that there is a fine, a hefty fine if they do it. Somebody is going to get killed. And when they do, I'm going to say I told you so because I sat and watched it. And as soon as he got turned around, which took quite a length of time to turn around a semi-trailer truck using the road there, a truck came barreling over, and they don't come slow. So it wasn't a semi, but I'm telling you that there's going to be a terrible accident there. The other thing I want to say is I am responsible for people coming in to the city of Gardner. I have 96 acres on Gardner Road that I put in the city limits, trying to stop the truck traffic and trying to stop what the intermodal was trying to do. And you know, I live on 199th Street, and there are a lot of other people that live on 199th Street, and they came in because I told them that the city had promised they would protect us. I know that because that road is protected by the city of Gardner, that the easement on the south side, it goes 6 feet back, and if any warehousing comes in on that road, any warehousing bills, if somebody buys and puts in a warehouse, because Gardner doesn't own any of that land, they can't do any kind of an entrance on and off of Gardner Road, on and off of 199th Street, because the easement is owned by Gardner, the city of Gardner. That is one of the main reasons that we fought for that. And the other thing was that there wouldn't be warehousing in any of the city limits of Gardner. I now have people saying to me, can we what's the word I want to say?
De-annex.
That's right, de-annex. And I'm not so sure that isn't the direction that we'll go if that happens. We are responsible for how far Gardner was able to annex all the way up to Clare Road. And I want you and everybody else to remember that the city council did agree, because I was leery about it. So I have well over 100 acres in it. That's just well over, and I am interested in de-annexing if this goes on, because we went by what you said, what you all promised, and it really isn't anything else to say. It's just a matter of what our word is. We live in a country that is still governed by the people, for the people, and of the people. We don't live in a dictatorship. We live in where the people are supposed to be considered. And that doesn't mean that you run off and buy other lands and turn it into commercial areas when it wasn't set up that way. You know that, and I know that. You have people speaking to you. You need to listen to them. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay, with no one else coming forward, we'll move to council discussion.
I had one question. One item came up several times. That's maybe posting a sign on Waverly Road. Is that in our jurisdiction or not? I believe that's in Edgerton, is it not? Where they're talking about putting a sign on the other side of Waverly.
Waverly is just to the west of it. Once you go past that, you're out of the city.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, it is.
It's not of our. We can't do it because that belongs
Correct.
to Edgerton. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's why I wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Councilman Shute, are you there as well?
Yes, I am. Aye.
I don't know if you wanted to speak first, or we can.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. I won't take a ton of time because I know that tonight's the Chiefs game. So, this is much more important than the Chiefs game, to be honest with you. The issue that we're running into here with the truck routes, and I did have a conversation with Dave and with the city administrator about this. There is an inconsistency between the code as we currently have it in Chapter 10, and then also Title 17. And so if there's anything other than the current rural residential designation on that road, that needs to be clarified. We don't have a way to differentiate between different classes or sizes or weights of commercial vehicles as it currently stands. Am I right on that, Mr. Novick?
You know, the way the wording is in the current title, 10.15, is actually, and I want to be real clear about the wording, because we're talking about trucks and we're also talking about other commercial vehicle. The way the wording is,
correct,
it's any vehicle that is a non-passenger vehicle. And that's effectively what the ordinance says. Even though the signs say no trucks, the way the ordinance is written, it goes beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah, so in order for there to be any kind of differentiation of class, size, or weight, number of axles, etc., there has to be a provision written into the existing code to accommodate that. Am I correct in that?
That would be correct, and that's where I might make one other point of clarification, because there was discussion about two different types of signs that are out there. The county signs the non-truck route areas differently than we do. Ours merely says no trucks on it. Theirs actually has that differentiation where they say no trucks over the 16,000 gross vehicle weight.
Correct, because that's how the rural, in other words, unincorporated county regulations are. So we're actually much more restrictive with our truck designations internally into Gardner than the county is. correct? Because we don't make a distinction.
Yeah, that would be correct. And I would say that our signs, again, by jurisdictional limits, are limited to the 199th kind of Gardner Road and also Clare Road. The other signs that are out there that may be on other arterials or other parts of the grid, there are still unincorporated parts of the county.
All right. Let me ask one more question, Mr. Nopick. In order for us to do anything with that particular road, 199th Street, we would have to give it a designation as an approved route for trucks to use. Am I not mistaken in that?
That would be correct. Again,
that's a problem.
again, you could. There are those options again with the weight differentiations, geographic differentiations. There may be ways to limit that, but I would say you're correct.
And that is a direct betrayal of the folks that we annexed into this city. That's my reading for this. I am not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of making changes for the sake of, let's put it this way. If we make a decision to move forward, we already know that we're way out there when it comes to the exposure that the city has basically put ourselves into by doing what we've done on 190th Street anyway. Because I could go back into the history. I'm not going to bore people or regale people with tales, but historically, the entire Kansas City metro area, from Mid-America Regional Council to the KCADC to the county to Edgerton, obviously, to the state. Okay, they spent $40 million to put in a heavy haul bridge at 199th and I-35. Okay, there was a reason they did that. They did that in order to be able to put trucks down 199th Street, and we knew that. And I suspect that a lot of the folks that live on 199th Street in that area also suspected that. And that's one of the reasons why they agreed to annex into Gardner. Okay. If you look at the CARNP that was passed, basically the regional transportation plan for Southern Johnson County, it's still, although there's rumblings that it will be fixed, it still is showing 199th Street as a heavy haul truck corridor with 4 lanes, divided highway. And the only thing keeping us from having that happen to us in our community is the agreements that we've made with the residents on 199th Street that allowed us to annex and control 199th Street. This is beyond an issue with just this property, this commercial property at 199th and I-35. There are a lot of other players in this, and a lot of very powerful players that have already decided that they want to make life miserable for the city of Gardner in other ways. Okay? We knew those were powerful players when we were making these negotiations with the folks who were living on that property. And they're very aware of the issues that are surrounding that, because we had discussed it with them. I was in the room with those negotiations. With all due respect, Mary, I was the one that was the mayor when we had those conversations. I know you had said that it was Winters. Winters was actually the council president at the time I was the mayor. I believe that I was in a lot of those rooms with Jim when we were doing these negotiations. And we had to keep it very tight-lipped. We had you guys all sign non-disclosure agreements because we knew how the region would react, which includes Edgerton, if they would have known that we were annexing property on 199th Street. And I remember making those promises to you when we were in that room with you guys, saying we would protect you guys, your way of life, as well as the rural nature of the property. If this were any other location, I think that I would be happy to welcome this commercial development in. But given the fact that if we allow trucks on 199th Street west of Gardner Road in any sense, it's like putting a pinprick in a dam. The pinprick isn't a big problem in and of itself, but the pressure of the water behind it will bring down the dam. And there's a lot of pressure on us right now. I mean, everybody who's not in Gardner doesn't like what Gardner's done on 199th Street. And so we have to be very, very careful. Any changes to Title 10 to me are out of the question right now, especially on that property. It's radioactive. So I will be voting no on that change for all the reasons that I just outlined.
Okay. And I assume, by assuming, that means you would be voting no on the remainder of on committee recommendation number 2 as well? Or?
Well, I don't see how it could move forward without that change, given what I've heard of the basic conflict between Titles 10 and 17.
Number 3, I guess.
Am I correct in that, Director?
I'm going to correct you in the sense it's really the conflict between the comprehensive plan and
Yeah.
the Title 10 element. The Title 17 is quiet to this issue in that sense, but it's the comprehensive plan as amended by the sub-area plan for this area that identified a portion of this property as commercial.
As commercial, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And that's the land use designation, not necessarily the zoning.
Correct. That is a future land use designation, and with the comprehensive plan and its amended documents, that's a policy guidance element that you can use as part of the golden criteria.
Sure. Exactly. Thank you.
So, Steve, I hear what you're saying, but explain this to me. Chapter 10 says this shall not apply to those vehicles engaged in stuff about our cars or vehicles carrying goods, wares, or merchandise or other articles to and from any house, residence, or business establishment within the city. In other words, if it gets to be designated a business because we approve all of this, then it meets the spirit of the code. And since you were on council when this got changed, the comp plan to be commercial, why would that have happened if you didn't assume that there would be commercial growth there?
The issue that we're going to run into, Mark, is that this particular road is radioactive. For all the reasons that I just mentioned, specifically the issues around the regional ecosystem, the transportation ecosystem. You know and I know that the folks that are trying to change the transportation map because of the Panasonic plant as well as the intermodal want to have an east-west route. I think that it was, I think Lynn referred to it as the 21st Century Parkway. Okay. The only area, well, let me back up here. There are a few options for the 21st Century Parkway. One of them is 175th Street, which basically stops in, at 69 Highway. You're not going to get a road all the way through that area of Overland Park and Stillwell to get to Richards Gebauer, okay? Which is Smartport. That's where they want to go, okay? 223rd Street, that's Miami County's jurisdiction, and I'm not sure if they're going to play ball with the Mid-America Regional Council on that, okay? So really what it comes down to is two other locations, 215th Street, which is on the border, which ends at Spring Hill again. It goes right into Spring Hill, which is going to be very difficult for them to be able to negotiate with Spring Hill. 223rd Street, which is on the south end of Spring Hill, which might be a decent option, but there's a lot of infrastructure issues in Spring Hill they have to deal with, and a pretty significant bridge they'd have to replace on 223rd Street, I think west of Spring Hill, or 199th Street. And that's the corridor that Carnap has cited as the 21st Century Parkway route, okay? If there is a classification bifurcation on trucks of any kind on 199th Street, I'm telling you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that Don Roberts is going to do what he's going to do, which is stop truck traffic on 199th Street west of the bridge and force us to run truck traffic down 199th Street to Gardner Road and then further east. That's going to happen. It's not even a speculation. It's going to happen. I'm sure that Edgerton is watching this video from this council meeting right now and planning a response. Also, what it's going to do is it's also going to give the county and potentially the region an in to possibly forcing more truck traffic down that road to the west. So I'm really, really concerned about that. This is way beyond the actual commercial development in question. This goes way beyond the use of properties in that area, actually. What it comes down to is, do we want to have a major heavy haul corridor, industrial heavy haul corridor, going through the south side of our town with little to no control on our part? And that might be what happens here.
Steve, I've got a question then, just to continue the discussion.
Sure.
What are you thinking then that the owners of this property should do with that parcel?
It's going to be an answer for them to figure out, because
I would disagree. I would disagree because it's going to come back up in front of us as well. And I'm not trying to be adversarial. I'm been thinking about that myself as well.
I understand, Mark. I've had a lot of time to think about this.
I think we all have.
And I was in the room with those negotiations on 199th Street. I was in the room, and those are the representations that were made, that we would stop intermodal traffic. This potential action on truck routes actually could encourage intermodal traffic to come across that line.
But Steve, you don't have to change it and allow intermodal traffic.
Correct.
We can still uphold the intermodal truck traffic, the through traffic. We can still control it like we have been.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Why not?
We'd have to stop every truck that goes through there to identify where they're going.
That's
Same
the simplest
same
thing
thing
we
we
can
do
do.
on Center Street. That's why we couldn't enforce on Center
Yeah.
Street, because there's a destination location. So you'd have to follow up and down all those different trucks.
I disagree. On Center Street, if a resident calls that lives at, let's say, Madison and Center, right? They don't know where it's going. Is it going to Strickers or is it going on out of town? Right. They don't know, right? But I guarantee you, if the police sits at Waverly and 199th, they can see every truck that comes from the intermodal, nab them. Every truck that turns into this development, and they know if it's going in or out. And if it goes on through, nab them, right?
But
to me, this is easy to see right there.
I thought our issue with that was with no shoulders, we aren't able to pull them over. So we've had an
That's a lot of it. East of
because we
Center Street, you're
don't
absolutely right, Casey.
have the space to pull over trucks.
That was more on Gardner Road. And 199th is the same kind of road, but there's nothing west of this development but wildlife.
Right, but you're also putting the destination trucks there.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. If,
Right now
if
it's-
PD
right
sits
now
right
it's
there,
no
they know
trucks.
which one is the destination and which one's not.
Right now, it's no trucks, which is what we promised. So we're gonna add trucks. It doesn't matter if it's 5 or 50. You're still gonna add trucks.
No commercial.
And we'd have to park a cop down there to deal with the truck traffic.
Yeah, and when I say truck, I specifically mean semis.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
right now, it's no.
I understand that, but we don't enforce the no trucks the rest of the city. There's Amazon and FedEx going everywhere.
Right.
So I think that's off the table. We're talking about semis.
Right.
Okay, so police can sit there and see, did they turn into the building or not? If you did, good job. If you didn't, ticket. I mean, to me, this is black and white. That's pretty simple. And if the issue is that it's a commercial, the land use map was established in 2016 before any of these agreements were made with anyone.
Before it was even in Gardner.
Right. Knowing that that was going to be commercial, which brings with it additional traffic.
Right, but it also, there was a plan that showed a 4-lane roadway, expressway through there.
And
it wasn't envisioned for a 2-lane road to support commercial
Yeah.
traffic.
that's fine. There's nothing that says that that doesn't turn into a 4-lane in 70 years.
Yeah.
All sorts of things can happen when all of us in this room are dead and gone.
Right.
Right? So we can't assume that that will never happen. Right? Just like we can't assume that if you have a commercial land use there, that there's something else that we can stick in there that's magically going to fit the bill for everybody in this room. We have something on the table right now that can bring in tax revenue, and while it's upsetting some people, it's at the edge where it's literally the western half of it is another city. I mean, plus we can incentivize by with a development agreement to tell Lynn and Fred how to express the concern of traffic to all of their drivers. I would love to see where it is we think that we're going to add 500 trucks here. I mean, some commercial development has to be expected. It's commercial. That's what the comp plan is saying in 2016 that was approved. So if there's going to be some development, we have to assume that there's some truck, and I think we can, based off the stuff that didn't get discussed in the planning commission meeting that staff did present, but it didn't get talked about because it got stuck on this. You have things in there that can limit the amount of actual semis.
Right,
If we do that, you don't have the truck semi issue.
When it was put as commercial in the comp plan, it wasn't in Gardner, and there was a vision of 4-lane road, correct? We pivoted from that when we annexed all these properties and promised the homeowners that we wouldn't do exactly what's being proposed.
Thank you. Thank you.
We
changed our
We
direction.
promised the intermodal traffic we would restrict.
And
No restrict. We
commercial.
told them if we got
No
all the way to Claire, we would put no trucks
And
on
no
199.
commercial.
Which is what we would still do.
Except you're putting trucks on the road. No.
A few.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, what's the point in having a commercial designation down there?
There was no commercial.
The point was back when it was a 4-lane road. It's different.
It was never
It wasn't
a 4-lane
even in
road.
the, it wasn't even in the city.
Thank you.
Understood, but it was it got approved in 2016 as a potential
Potential.
commercial development, right?
It was annexed in 16.
It is in the city as a future use of commercial. If we had that anywhere else, we would assume and probably push forward with commercial development there.
And forget the promise you made us. No commercial, no trucks.
I don't think that we're going to add that many
Um,
trucks.
No, you don't know.
Point of order, Mayor. Let's try to keep the side conversations down. I can hear bits and pieces of it. I can't hear it all. Thank you.
Councilman McNair.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions for Dave. Dave, what, the couple of people have mentioned this evening that the posting signage before you get to Waverly that you're headed eastbound would help.
Can't hear.
Okay, I'm sorry, folks. It's been mentioned tonight from the podium that if we were just to put a sign on the other side of Waverly, which is not in our jurisdiction, that it would fix everything. Well, we can't do that. Title 10, 15.015 specifically addresses another gentleman's concerns tonight about farm and personal truck traffic there. You are allowed to do that. It says farm trucks, so you're covered there. My concern, as I listen to Councilmember Shute, is that if we made a change to Title 10, we would essentially be opening the door to be rolled by the other entities that he mentioned. Not the least of which is Edgerton, which would just love to stick it to us. So Dave, can you give us a real quick explanation of what you see should we pass this or allow it? Excuse me.
So I'm gonna point to a couple different things here because you kind of put several things together. So I just want to be clear. We can only sign in areas where we have jurisdiction to sign. So just so everybody knows, when you mentioned that about signage to the west and things like that.
That is correct.
We only have authority within our city limits to post signs within our city limits. We do not have authority in other jurisdictions to do so. So
I wanted to stop you there. Linda Meisinger tonight mentioned the truck that turned around on Gardner Road just by the bridge. With Edgerton not probably ever being willing to sign that, we're going to have those kind of conditions going on in the future. Is that correct?
I would anticipate the continuation of what's going on if Edgerton did not sign.
Thank you. Let's keep going.
In regard to the bigger question as to what do I see there, I think you have a number of different things going on. Ultimately, I'm not going to try to second guess what Edgerton may do or may not do. So, I mean, I've got to take that out of the picture. I think the unincorporated portions of the, the unincorporated portions of the county, given the status of infrastructure and things like that in the area, are likely to remain limited in their development capacity, mainly due to sewer limitations in that area. So no matter what, it doesn't, that's not really a commercial traffic issue. It's more of a land development question. The land development is only going to be allowed to happen up to the limits of the availability of all infrastructure elements, including water and sewer. So be aware of that element too. So there is a limitation when you think about 199th Street in regard to the way the properties are parceled out in smaller acreages as well. Typically, that is not something that you would see a developer go and want to buy a series of those smaller areas. They tend to avoid that at that point, especially if they can't be served by the infrastructure to support the development that they'd like to do in that area. I think the issue came up at Planning Commission, and I know Councilman Baldwin, you were there, so if I misstate this or I misstated in the sense of it's maybe an oversimplification, certainly add to that. I think as part of that, there was kind of a question of, is this really the highest and best land use for the area or not? At that point in time, there are other land uses that could be considered for this area that are non-commercial as well. I think the discussion went to the point of, because it abuts a interstate, it's maybe not as desirable for that residential type development. But I would also say when you look at most of the interstate corridors around the metro area, you'll find examples of residential that abuts the interstate corridors on 435 and on 35 as well in other jurisdictions. Personally, would that be a house that I would necessarily buy in that? That's a personal decision, but yet there are developments and buildings that are right up there against that interstate.
I guess I pulled up the golden criteria as we were talking through this, and I had a conversation this afternoon with the city attorney. Were you able to get any clarification on 10.1015?
What portion of it? What's your question?
The first section is .015, where we've kind of been bantering around this evening about what's allowed and what's not allowed. And
right. So I think everybody's right. I think that 10.15.010. Yeah. I mean, I think what Jim's talking about is an enforcement issue, and the practicality of an enforcement issue, and the ability of the staff that he's supervising administratively to effectively police the corridor out there, versus what Councilman Baldwin read, that if this business was on 199th Street, truck traffic under our trucker ordinance would allow truck traffic to come in and out of there to service that specific business. So I think everybody's right.
it's not a matter of who's right and wrong. The ordinance says what it says. So and Councilman McNair, you and I had a conversation. There's the issue of the ordinance, the truck ordinance. But I do, in considering agenda item number 2, it is important that we consider the golden factors. You need to keep in mind, and if we go to court on this, that's what the court's going to look at, not necessarily our truck ordinance. And the golden factors, there are 10 factors that you're supposed to look at, and one of them, is the comprehensive plan. 1 of 10. And I think when you look at the 2016 comprehensive plan, it refers to community commercial, which I don't think staff's interpretation is CP3. It's more of a C2 designation. So and comprehensive planning is not the same as having a zoning entitlement in place. If they had this zone C3, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. They'd be building it. But comprehensive planning is not the same as having a zoning entitlement in place. It is one factor of 10 that you all are supposed to consider, including the impact on surrounding property owners, including the impact on traffic patterns, irrespective of what a truck ordinance says. You're supposed to consider all of those things in making your determination.
And I'm just going to clarify for the city attorney on this, just so everybody aware, and I think you're aware of this already, because when you remanded it, one of the remanded instructions had to do with the land uses in the CO, COA district, and the CP3 or the C3 district, rectifying that to try to find a list of uses there. And the reason the CO, COA comes up is because in the comp plan and our supporting documents, that's what's equated to the community commercial. So I just wanted to clarify, you mentioned C2, so I wanted to just make sure that everybody understood that's part of the reason when you were looking at that in the remand and sent that back to look at CO, COA, that's the equivalent zoning of that community commercial designation. So
I just wanted to kind of sum up my thoughts here as the discussion play out, my time runs out. Dave, first off, I wanted to thank you for clarification and really getting us to think about how this is affected by Title 10, how that really applies, and we really got to make a decision on that as well. Ryan, thank you for your time this afternoon. When you start looking at this with the marriage of the golden criteria in Title 10, Title 17, it starts becoming much more clear. And Steve, your comments tonight have been very helpful. Thank you. You can go back to watching the Chiefs game now while you're listening to this.
Yeah, sure.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
It's very complex. I was just going to wrap it up by saying it's very complex. This decision has taken me all around this whole issue for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and consumed much of my last week just learning and researching and getting ready to make a decision, which I will do this evening.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Dean.
Yeah, just a couple things. Mark, I know one of the things you said, like, we don't know what's going to happen in 70 years. I think that's very true. We don't. My biggest concern with this development is I don't think...
Can't hear, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to lean in. Okay. Better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
One of the concerns I have with the development is I don't think 199th Street is ready for this kind of traffic. Without the shoulders, we don't have the ability to enforce. And while I agree, I think we could pull over every single truck and are you going to the right place or not? I don't think the infrastructure is there. In 20 years, when we're not up here, and Jim will have probably retired in 20 years, and he's not up here, promises that were made, they're not going to be 100-year promises. I think everybody in the room understands that. But those promises weren't made 100 years ago. They were made pretty recently. And half of us were up here, not me, but I do remember it happening. I just don't think that 199th is ready for that. I think we approached that when the Animal Lodge was up for discussion. If it wasn't right for commercial there, I don't think now is the right time. It was also my understanding when we annexed all these properties, it was to protect us from warehouses. And then we put warehouses in right there. That just doesn't make sense to me. That's all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Dean. Councilman Lean, did you?
I don't know that I have anything else to say that hasn't already been said, other than I think there is some concern on my part that if this doesn't go forward, which however however you want, but I don't know that there's anything else that could go into that property. I know there's discussion about it was ag at one point in time. It's never been good farmland. I don't know that it's good for residential property. I feel that's going to bring more traffic to that area that you don't want either. I do feel that that section of 199th seems to be more suited for heavier traffic than what is east of Gardner Road, but I understand that the promises were made previous to my time on the council for the annex of that land. So, it's certainly something I have to think about, the previous promises that were made, so.
Okay. And I'll speak to it. And I mean, I want to make it clear that this has been mentioned over and over, intermodal traffic, protect us from trucks, protect us from semis, protect us from the intermodal, protect us from warehouses. I mean, that's over and over, and that's exactly how I understood this back when this was all taking place. And I think to that extent, we did that by putting up the no truck signs. Minus some enforcement issues, I think we've made that effort to keep those trucks off. I mean, I remember everything we heard was, how bad it was. They were zooming by and rattling the windows and creating all kinds of discomfort for homeowners there. And we stuck to that. I mean, we've had a lot of pressure from the county through this. We've stuck to that from the state. We've stuck to that. I mean, they weren't happy with that, but we did that, and I thought that was the protection that I agreed to. I don't know that I was agreeing at the time to, no vehicles at all down that road. And to me, this development is not a warehouse that's going to bring in semi-trucks. This is flex space at biggest. That's going to bring box trucks. I mean, you get deliveries all the time through there. I don't see it as it's far to the west of residents. I mean, I actually measured it out. The Amazon warehouses across the street are, as a crow flies, just about the same distance as this would be. I don't see it as a huge traffic generator. I don't see it certainly don't see it as a semi-truck generator. And to me, that's the biggest concern. I mean, I know I don't want people to think I'm going back my word, because my word was I was going to keep semi-truck traffic away from that with the no truck signs. I never said the no commercial.
Yes, you did.
We talked about semi-truck traffic.
And we did, that's serious.
So that's just my thoughts. I know it's not popular.
No, it's not.
I know.
I'd like to make one.
Can I get a clarification, Todd?
Yes, sir.
City Attorney Dank, what is the threshold for, I mean, there's a majority vote on the truck route changes. But on item number 2, since it's been remanded and then denied again, is that still a supermajority to override the commission's recommendation, or is it a simple majority vote?
Simple majority.
Steve, did you hear him?
Simple majority, sorry.
Oh, it's a simple majority. Okay. All right.
Of the governing body. Because this is a
So it'd
zone,
be 4 out of 6.
yeah,
3-3, it goes down.
assuming everybody votes, yes.
Okay.
So Todd, I want to just kind of share some additional thoughts. All the way through this has been going through my mind as a primary consideration for both sides over the last 30 days. And what I'd like to kind of point out tonight as I've listened to this conversation is a couple things. One is, the top that had not been considered before was the golden criteria. I've put a lot of time and thought into that, especially with previous occupations. Through this whole process, I've committed to myself and to all of the constituents in the community that I would follow the law wherever it led. And a week ago, I thought I was at a decision that was a win-win, maybe. Today, especially with the consequences of this decision with regard to 199th position we have with other entities having their will with the city of Gardner, is looking much more like this is making a choice between bad and worse. It's meaning that there's going to be a loser here, and any way we decide this thing, there's going to be losers. And I really hope that we could be not at that place last week. And so it just kind of, as I was thinking about that, it led me to think, man, there's a lot of changes. And Saturday night, this last weekend, Mina and my wife Mina and I were down in Harrisonville, their log cabin celebration. I don't know if any of you ever went there. It's primarily around the square in Harrisonville. And on the south side, I shot a photo of the south side of their courthouse because it just really struck me. And the south side of their courthouse reads, "A public office is a public trust." So I have to do what's good for the public tonight. And I just feel like this has been teed up to where we have to pick a loser. I really didn't want to do that. I'm going to have to.
Is there any further discussion at this point? Did we have,
Is there any benefit to just despite the fact on how 2 and 3 go, is there any benefit to even just looking at the municipal code on truck routes to make sure that we have everything worded properly for the city? Or is that more specific to just 2 and 3?
I think it would make sense from my side of things, Casey, for us to examine that, but do it more holistically from the perspective of all the different roadways within our community and not just 199th Street. I think we do need to have probably a better idea of how to better regulate truck traffic around our entire road network. That's not something, though, that I think we would want to necessarily address tonight if the rezoning is not successful. Does that make sense?
yeah, makes sense. So I think, why don't we go ahead and take a vote. I almost feel like we should do the second phase first, because if the second phase, or the second part of this first, because if it doesn't pass.
Agenda item 2?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, so Well,
I move to adopt the denial of recommendations of the Planning Commission denying ordinance number 2848, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain land located in the city of Gardner, Kansas, under the authority granted by Title 17 of the Municipal Code of the city of Gardner, Kansas.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion Deaton, second Shoot. We adopt the denial recommendations of the Planning Commission denying ordinance number 2848. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain land located in the city of Gardner, Kansas, under the authority granted by Title 17 of the Municipal Code of the city of Gardner, Kansas. So a yes vote means denial, correct?
That is correct.
And a no vote means
That's correct.
against it. Okay.
Okay, Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Abstain.
Councilmember Deaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Ween.
No.
Councilmember Shue.
Yes.
Or Mayor Winters.
No.
This was one abstaining, one
Yeah,
no.
the motion succeeds.
Or two no.
The motion succeeds. You had an abstention, so you have a simple majority, so the application is denied.
Okay.
Okay, so it's denied.
For the record, I abstain because I don't think we ever talked enough about the stipulations Planning Commission and staff put in to discuss number 2.
Okay, so it fails. So.
It passed, that it is denied.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is 2848
It's denied.
denied.
A lot of double negatives.
I know.
No, that wasn't.
So then, committee recommendation number 1, move to direct staff to develop an amending ordinance for chapter 10.15 of the Gardner Municipal Code that reflects the consensus reached by the city council for future consideration and approvals. We're gonna.
I was gonna suggest, I'm looking at the city attorney right now. I think the next step would be to look at number 3 in this because it's closely related to the application on number 2. They're both tied together.
Well, and it can't.
I think with the denial, but we need to have.
That's what that's what I wanted to make sure of because I think they still would need to take action on the actual application, correct?
Okay, so the move to adopt the denial recommendations of the Planning Commission denying ordinance number 2849, an ordinance for a conditional use permit for 4 principal use sign structures with vertical stack sign faces and a maximum overall height of 45 feet on certain land located in the city of Gardner, Kansas, under the authority granted by Title 17 of the Municipal Code of the city of Gardner, Kansas.
Can I have a clarification on that?
Yes.
If there is no CP3 designation on that property, then why would we have to have a vote on this?
I think we're just.
It seems to me it's a moot point.
You should vote it down because it doesn't comply with the code.
Okay. Thanks.
So make up your own minds.
But
Go ahead.
additional clarification. Since we're denying it, we should vote in the affirmative then for the denial.
Yes. So I need a movement in a second.
Full double negative.
I need a move in a second.
Trying to make my
So
engineering
moved.
brain work.
Motion Deaton, second Baldwin. We adopt the denial recommendations of the Planning Commission denying ordinance number 2849, an ordinance for a conditional use permit for 4 principal use sign structures with vertical stack sign faces and a maximum overall height of 45 feet on certain land located in the city of Gardner, Kansas, under the authority granted by Title 17 of the Municipal Code of the city of Gardner, Kansas.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds.
Yes.
Councilmember Ween.
Yes.
Councilmember Shue.
Yes.
Mayor Winters.
Yes.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
2849 passes. as stated? Denied.
The denial passes.
The denial
Yes.
passes. And then back to committee recommendation number 1, is that correct?
Yes.
And this is consider potential changes to chapter 10.15. The motion is to direct staff to develop an amending ordinance for chapter 10.15 of the Gardner Municipal Code that reflects the consensus reached by the city council for future consideration and approval. So this would be as stated, and then if we just not going to pass this, we would vote no against this, correct? Am I doing that correct?
Well, I think you're just looking for guidance.
Yeah,
right, Dave?
yeah, right now, this is just more of a guidance item. There is no
Okay.
ordinance proposed
Okay.
or no specific changes
Yeah.
proposed.
Okay.
So we would be looking for guidance in regard to 10.15s, in particular
So
with the
motion
idea
to
that we.
make no changes would essentially.
Yes,
make no
if
changes.
you wanted to take a motion to make no changes to it, you could certainly do that at this point. You could take no action, or you could direct staff. You could make a motion to direct staff to look at the ordinance. So I believe that's correct, right?
I think that there is definitely some merit to looking at the ordinance outside of 199th Street,
I concur.
to be all inclusive. It'll help alleviate confusion in the future.
Is it really?
What are
an
you
issue?
looking for a change?
Yeah.
Well, if we want to bifurcate our truck designations by weight class, number of axles, type, like if we want to differentiate between box trucks and semi trucks and construction haulers, that has to be done through a change to Title 10, because right now it shows one designation, and that's commercial.
If I may add
Yes, sir.
something, currently various jurisdictions throughout Johnson County and Johnson County have varying language with regard to their truck ordinances. I know for at least Johnson County and the city of Olathe, they do use a 16,000 and above designation for that type of commercial traffic. There are various other ones. If you want staff to take a look at what the surrounding areas have in their language and how it compares to ours, we can certainly do that.
That's kind of what I was looking for. Ellen.
You're wanting to carve out semis?
I'd like to be able to have the option to do that in the future, yes.
We can bring a menu of options for everybody to look at.
I'd like to see if we could move to kind of clear up some of the inconsistencies in the Title 10 as written, maybe for like farm and agricultural vehicles,
Correct.
combines, delivery of
That's
such.
already in there.
Yeah,
That's already in there.
Well, it's still not clear. Let's say if you had a sewer drain backed up, and you had a guy come out in a truck to come do that. He's not delivering goods or merchandise or anything like that. He's out there to service it. Didn't really read into the code the way that is. And all I'm saying is, I'd like to see us take a comprehensive look for clarification throughout Title 10.
I mean, just to be clear, what you just said is in there too,
Where?
for the infrastructure.
That's for the city, not for your home.
You said sewer, that's public infrastructure.
Your drain, a drain in your home. Your kitchen drain is.
Could be a septic
septic
tank.
system. Yeah.
That's
So
fine. We have septic
I
systems
just
in the
really want
city.
some clarification around all this.
That's fine. All right. Okay.
We'll do that.
I'm okay. I'm amenable to that. Or amenable to that. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Deaton. That we direct staff to bring back potential changes and menu of options to chapter 10.15 truck routes of the Gardner Municipal Code. Fair enough. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Okay. Well. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move, no old business. We will move to new business, new business item number 1. Consider adopting a resolution determining the advisability of certain improvements in the city of Gardner, Kansas, and authorizing and providing for the making of such improvements in accordance with the findings of the governing body and KSA 12-6A01 at Sequoia. Clare Crossing area-wide special benefit district.
Clare Crossing LLC has petitioned the city for an area-wide special benefit district for infrastructure improvements that benefit both the residential and commercial portions of the development project.
We're still not done. Road's still not done.
This includes infrastructure related to sewer improvements in 177th Street. The proposed resolution creates Clare Crossing area-wide benefit district and establishes a maximum estimated cost of $2,925,000 for improvements for the district.
Matt, will you pause? Can you guys go out there?
Can you guys go out outside of the room, please?
Literally, like, I look at it, it's literally right there.
Fred? Thanks.
Thank you.
So just kind of recap, the city entered into a development agreement with the Clare Crossing developer earlier this year. And part of that development agreement, we're going to consider basically using benefit district to help with infrastructure. On the agenda tonight, you have two items. The first item is the area-wide benefit district, which is sewer improvements in 177th Street. The maximum cost is $2,925,000, and it's staff's recommendation that you adopt the proposed resolution.
Is there any discussion or any public comment for new business item number 1? Do we have a bond counsel?
Yes. Bond counsel's here tonight.
Okay. Just curious.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Okay. Do I have a motion for resolution 2180?
So moved.
So, second.
Motion Deaton, second Shoot. We adopt resolution 2180, determining the advisability of certain improvements in the city of Gardner, Kansas, and authorizing and providing for the making of such improvements in accordance with the findings of the governing body in KSA 12-6A01 Sequoia Clare Crossing area-wide special benefit district.
Councilmember Deaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Ween.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Resolution 2180 passes. New business item number 2, consider adopting a resolution determining the advisability of certain improvements in the city of Gardner, Kansas, and authorizing and providing for the making of such improvements in accordance with the findings of the governing body in KSA 12-6A01 Sequoia Clare Crossing Commercial Special Benefit District.
So this is the second benefit district for the Clare Crossing project that was discussed as a part of the development agreement. The improvements are for Clare Crossing Drive, the Claremont Court, and the Harmony Road. The estimated total cost for this is $2 million or $2.075 million. And just like the other district, when we eventually issue bonds for these for this district, the special assessments will be levied on the property and pay for the debt service. So staff's recommendation that you approve the proposed resolution.
Is there any public comment? New business item number 2? Council, do you have any questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second McNair. We adopt resolution 2181, determining the advisability of certain improvements in the city of Gardner, Kansas, and authorizing providing for the making of such improvements in accordance with the findings of the governing body in KSA 12-6A01 Sequoia Clare Crossing Commercial Special Benefit District.
Councilmember Ween.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Deaton.
Yes.
2181 passes. New business item number 3, consider approving adjustments to the city's contribution strategy for health insurance.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Each year, CBIZ, the city's employee benefits consultant and broker, and city staff work together to develop the city's contribution strategy for presentation to the City Council. This strategy is predicated on providing employees with significant premium coverage for a gold level, qualifying high deductible healthcare plan, and assumes both of the following conditions to be true. 1, that employees will continue to enroll in their current plan or the most similar plan available, and 2, that employees will enroll the same dependents that they have currently enrolled. The City of Gardner's 2026 budget included an 8% contribution increase based on historical increases in marketplace premiums. However, during the early stages of open enrollment for 2026, CBIZ informed staff that there have been recent unforeseen changes in the marketplace that have resulted in significantly increased premiums, up to 40% for many of the plans available to employees on the individual market, including the Gold Qualifying High Deductible Health Plan, around which the city's contribution strategy is centered. When this significant increase and the assumptions outlined previously regarding plan and dependent enrollments are utilized to model employee premiums, 36 of the 137 employees, or 26.28%, currently receiving benefits will see a premium increase, with 20 of these 36, which is 55.56% of impacted employees, or 14.71% of all covered employees, will see increases in premiums between $200 and $799 a month, should the current budgeted 8% contribution be maintained. To mitigate this increase, a 30% contribution increase from the city is suggested in lieu of the current 8% increase. The total estimated cost for contribution adjustments is $69,295 above what was initially budgeted. It should be noted that this increase is not fully absorbed by the general fund, but is instead spread across multiple funds, including enterprise funds such as the electric fund, and internal service funds such as the building services fund, which are paid into by both enterprise funds and the general fund. It should be noted that when the historic health and dental insurance budget is considered, even with this requested increase factored in, the health and dental insurance budget is just 7.799% above the same budget for 2023, making the average increase across this time period about approximately 2.6% per year.
Thank you, Ms. Nast. Is there any public comment for new business item 3? A council comment?
Yes, there is. I don't see how, Jim, you know where I'm at on this. A 40% increase in the market price is not the employee's fault, it's not the city's fault, it's not the governing body's fault, it's just what happens. And until we can get some way to keep from ever increasing the load on our citizens via property tax, which is what's really funding all this. If my health care goes up 40%, I got to eat it. And at some point, we have to say no. So,
You know, Councilman, I understand your point, but I mean, it's a competitive market too for good employees. And
well, Mayor, I get a
raise some of the
$2%.
$800.
I get a 2% COLA this year.
Yeah. But you raise their monthly premium $800, and I don't think they're gonna be around. We're gonna spend a lot more.
Well, I mean, what happens when people's expenses are other citizens? We just consider the whole community. When the whole community as a whole starts having to absorb these kinds of costs for very few, I think that was mentioned earlier tonight.
I get it, and it is not just general fund. It is split. Some of that comes out of enterprise
Well,
funds as well. You know, I know.
When do we say no?
I agree. I agree, but yeah, I agree. Any other comments?
Look, the unforeseen circumstances is the stop of the subsidies to Obamacare. So there's always a chance that it gets resolved when the federal government comes back online. So I think you have to pass the stopgap here because it's not anything on these people's fault. And yeah, I hear what you're saying, Steve, about that we can't do it forever, and maybe we won't do it forever. But this just happened, think we have to consider it in right now, maybe never again, but I think you have to do it now.
But this is for a whole year, Mark. This is.
I understand, but you just made the argument of we can't do two, we can't listen to the few and pay for everybody else, but we literally just listened to 5 homes and didn't take in a bunch of development.
That wasn't my point.
But my point is, you can't just say it's about a few people all the time.
Mark, 12% of our employees have the biggest percentage, and I don't know who they are. God bless them. I hope their conditions improve. It just, at some point, we can't keep authorizing more spending. We just can't do it. Mark? What would we cut that would be of equal value?
I was going to bring in revenue, but
Do we have that yet?
we had some. My point is, it's not just the expenses, and you literally, you and the other Steve, got on a soapbox about $3.47 a month are going to send people out of town, and now you want somebody to pay $200 to $799 a month more, and that's acceptable?
It's a consistent argument. It's no to additional spending. It's just no to taking more from the citizens of our community.
So it's okay to take $200 to $800, just not $3.47.
That's not the point, Mark.
Well, you're not
The
being
point is being consistent. The point is being consistent. The point is saying this happened. It's unfortunate. It happens to everybody else in the community. It happens to people at large.
So does property taxes.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And when we start getting to a point where we can get some of the revenue that we were talking, and the revenue that we talked about that we just blew away tonight, that's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road before it even would even materialize at best. I've had this conversation in the city administrator's office this week. Mark, I agree with you. We need to bring in sales tax revenue, and we need to figure out how we're going to pay for this. Maybe if we had more sales tax coming in, I would feel differently. But right now, we don't.
I feel like a lot of public employees choose jobs, lesser paying jobs in the public sector for benefits. So if we have already forced them into an ICRA plan, which wasn't ideal, but our hands were tied, they have gone along with it. Now, if we want to charge them somewhere between $200 and $800 a month, we will lose employees. And what does that cost us? The cost to get a new employee, to train them, to even just advertise for the job and interview, and all the time of lost is not worth it. Our employees, I value our employees more than that, and feel like this is
Casey,
a no-brainer.
at this point, 2 years ago, our costs were over $1 million less. The one thing we can count on is that healthcare is going to continue to escalate. You may not be old enough, but I remember when I was a little kid, I was probably less than 10 years old. When you went to the doctor, your mother paid at the window on the way out. When you got the prescription, you paid at the window on the way out. There wasn't any subsidies. There wasn't anything, and life existed. It existed pretty well, actually. And right now, the idea of subsidizing one person's health expenses at the cost of a great many more, and when we start having situations where we're making exceptions for a very few, I'm sorry, it sucks. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I know what I'm going to die from. I didn't choose to have that. I didn't choose to have any of that. But it happens. And as humans, we have to live with it.
I did want to clarify that the budget in 2024 was actually 3.4 million, and this request is for 2.877 million. So that is less than the budget from 2 years ago.
But we had a $1 million increase in policy 2 years ago.
And the year prior to that
Yep.
was 2.669 million, so approximately 200,000 above what it was in 2023.
Yeah. Let me make a point here. I totally am on board with what Casey's saying. When I was mayor, I tried to make it clear to folks that, we valued their contribution. And it's not a matter of just a value from the standpoint of like, okay, I liked what you've done with your work. I mean, obviously our folks do great work. We overhired for a lot of positions, and um, I'm personally glad that Amy's there sitting at the podium now, because we really missed her. We missed her, and we've missed her contribution. Having said that, we didn't have to train Amy. We didn't have to go through all the different steps to get her to the point where she could get into that position. There is something to be said about legacy knowledge within an organization and continuity. Folks enjoy having the opportunity to work with the same people. And so I think the opportunity cost of losing employees, because we will lose employees, that's going to happen. If we don't have this pass, we're going to lose employees. I know where you're coming from, Steve, in terms of like the overall cost of the organization, but the cost of having to bring in somebody new and the opportunity cost of that lost tribal knowledge that makes our city work is so much greater. I mean, even when we lose people to retirement, like Mike Gardner and others that have just left in the last 60 days, those shoes are being filled, but they're being filled by people that don't have that knowledge. So it makes it very, very difficult for us to be able to continue the level of services. And those are just from retirements. That doesn't include people that are, that leave because they can't afford to pay for their health care anymore.
Well, Steve, I appreciate that, and I don't want to sound heartless here, but what I'm wanting to
No, it's not a heartless thing. It's a reality
financial
thing.
thing.
I mean, you talk to any business.
And the thing that we have to deal with as a city, this issue of massively escalating healthcare costs, is something we're going to have to deal with long term down the
Obamacare is
road.
the worst thing that's ever happened to our country.
And
A guaranteed
let's
issue
stay on topic,
and
though.
community rating is what's causing this issue.
And the loss, and I agree that the loss of employees is potentially more expensive than this cost of increasing.
It's devastating. Yeah.
I agree, but where do we draw the line, Steve?
If I could, Mayor, could I make a motion approving the adjustments to the city's contribution strategy for health insurance?
You may. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Ween. Lost it. We approve adjustments to the city's contributions to the health insurance program. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm not going to go no. I'm not going to.
Oh, you said
Our employees are more important than the money. I'm trying to make a point that we need to be conscious of the cost of all these increases as we go down the road.
I think we're all conscious of that, Steve.
So, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to council updates. Yes. Oh, and I'm sorry. New business item, if I didn't say it before, new business item number 4, we are removing from the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
Removing.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I meant to say that at the beginning. Okay, council, chief?
I wanted to address the traffic control for the truck routes on the 199th. We will absolutely address the officers in the area. We have written 39 truck citations this year, both warnings and citation. That number accounts for both of those. But I will speak with the officers and make sure that we're not disregarding. Of course, they could have been en route to calls or a whole myriad of things, but I will make sure that we address them.
And I mean, this may be a dumb question. All officers are capable of inspecting and ticketing trucks that are.
All,
We don't have to inspect for that.
No, I'm saying not inspect. Inspector's the wrong word.
all
Ticketing.
officers are able to write the ticket. We only have we have one CVSA officer, which is commercial vehicle inspector, and we have one that's in training. So he's got to write so many tickets under supervision, and then he'll be CVSA certified. But yes, anybody can write the ticket for the truck violation.
Thank you.
Nothing tonight.
No? Matt?
Something tonight.
Amy?
Nothing further.
Okay. Ryan?
Nothing from me.
Jason?
Nothing for me tonight, Mayor.
Dave?
Nothing for me.
Public Works?
Nothing from me.
Can I ask a quick question?
Certainly.
Traffic signalization coordination program, how's that coming along?
Right now, they're in the last week of basically getting all the hardware stuff correct. The goal right now is for the contractor to do new traffic counts and movement checks next week. And then they'll use that information to work on changing signal timings and things to get the coordination correct. We have run into quite a few kind of hardware compatibility issues with some of our older signals and things like that. So it's taken a little bit longer than we anticipated to get the hardware working correctly.
Okay.
But the one interesting thing today, I sat down at a computer and looked at every one of our signals, looked at camera angles on each one of the intersections. You can see when every individual part of the signal is operating. So our technicians now can basically manipulate the system from any computer.
Oh. That's interesting.
So they're gonna turn
There's-
all
there's
the
Mary
lights
Winters.
red.
Turn it red, turn it red.
I mean, I've seen the Italian job.
Anything further? No?
No.
City Administrator?
Nothing tonight.
Councilman Shute?
Nothing on my end. I know it was a spirited conversation. And a lot of tough decisions were made, but we're in this position to make tough decisions.
All right. Councilwoman Deeb?
Yeah, so I'll be super quick. In talking about the health insurance for our city employees, I know a lot of companies that have group policies do health incentives and things like that. And while we don't have a group policy anymore, we're on ICRA. In the month of September, the city staff, it was a volunteer basis, did a steps challenge. And I was told over 1.8 million steps were taken by these employees that volunteered to be a part of it. I did hear that Parks and Rec might have brought in a treadmill to give their department a little bit of an edge, and
Literally
they
have
did.
trails, man.
Right? Get out on the trail.
They did win the steps challenge by their department. But I just want to thank the employees that participated, even though it's not a group policy, showing that you care about your own health and just taking care of yourselves and setting a good example for that. I was impressed with the number of steps.
That's awesome.
And that was it.
Thank you. Councilman Wayne?
Nothing for me tonight.
Let's see. Council President. Oh, no, we did. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Apologize.
I said a lot. I just want to kind of come back. These decisions on 2 and 3 really caused me to really research a lot and think deeply. I was all over the board. It also led me to believe, or led me to the point to where going from a win-win, or trying to go from a win-win situation to a win-lose, and then also having to consider the total benefit of the city is when we give up sovereignty to other people on road use policies. And that, as I said earlier, that statement I saw in the courthouse on the south side of Harrisonville. A public office is a public trust. That's huge when you really stop and think about it. And I just wanted to say thanks for the opportunity.
Council President?
Two things. I just wanted to say that the interview with our detective on the domestic abuse flags was great, and I think it's a really neat program. And I hope a lot of people feel empowered to have a flag, and that it maybe gives them the courage to take that next step if necessary. That's a really cool program.
We have put out over 70 flags so far,
That's
and are
awesome.
still getting submissions.
Wow.
I mean, it's horrible, it's more than zero, but that's awesome that the flags are going up.
Thank you. I will pass that along.
Sure. The second is just, I'm going to condense what I really wanted to say on 1, 2, and 3 earlier. These are the tough decisions we have to make. And I still believe there was a way for this to work for everyone, right? Compromise means no one's happy. I think with the code the way it is, the ordinance, that allows us to have some truck traffic. I don't think we were ever going to allow intermodal truck traffic through, still aren't. For anyone that brought up that it's a rural development, it's not. They're now in the city. And regardless of what happens with the lawsuit, which at our 9/2 meeting, it hadn't been filed. It was 9/15 that he actually filed the lawsuit, so it's still up in the air. There's a very good chance, even if that fails, which it should, it needs to be overturned, because I don't know how you call 13.2 feet not narrow. Okay, so that's bad for the entire state if it's upheld. So I hope it's overturned. But that is really about the 600 acres east of Gardner Road. The land just south of all of these people on 199th Street, Edgerton's going to develop. So that's my crystal ball is not any better than anybody else's, but there's already going to be an increase in passenger traffic, box truck traffic, etc. And I don't believe the spirit of the annexation was to stop anything but the intermodal traffic, which is why I believe we could have done a win-win here. Just as much as those people want, those are, it's their homes and they don't want anything to happen, I appreciate that. But he also, they have a right to do something with their property and develop it into something that will be useful. And it fit with the comp plan at that time. I'm disappointed in that because I feel like we could have done something that would have worked for everybody. So that's just something we're gonna have to keep in mind. For getting that spot, I think we're gonna have to be thinking about this for the entire southern border of 199th Street. And just take a long, hard look of what it is we're trying to do here. So that's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Thank you. I have nothing further tonight, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second McNair. We adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?